morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. The goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us imagining, get us having perhaps a few aha moments when we get connected, and maybe inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we made that connection. So we're sheltering in place, Minnesota. Day one. Last night, we started our shelter in place, and we're all practicing good social distancing. I'd like to prefer to call it physical distancing because we can still stay close socially. We can still stay connected, and we just need to find creative ways to make that happen. I have someone on today that I feel, even though we are physically far apart, she is close to me. She is part of my heart. I have worked with her for many years at the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance. And we may not be in the same location, but we're socially connected. We're connected to purpose and ideas and opportunities that come up for us to be creative and think about culture. So today, our topic is going to be on the Latina perspective. And joining me from the Dominican Republic is the program specialist from the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance, Angie Espinal. Welcome, Angie.
Good morning, Lori. Thanks so much for having me today.
Absolutely. So tell me how things are going in the Dominican Republic.
Thank you for asking. Things are very similar than it is in the U.S. and across other parts of the world. We are in lockdown. Everyone following the physical distance. I do also like that term a lot better. We are home. Children and students are home. We do have a limited amount of time that we can go outside and get some basic necessities. But for most of the day, about 10 hours a day, you can be outside. But for most of the time, we are home, reinventing ourselves and our priorities, and relying on online connections more than ever.
For the we've worked together for like 6 or 7 years now, right, Angie?
That's correct. 7 years.
7 years. And one of the main topics of conversation between Angie and me as we look at programs and we look at ways to support the restaurant and hospitality industry is to really explore what it means to have cultural intelligence. And Angie, I'd love to have you share our definition for the cultural intelligence, as well as some of your own ideas about why it's important.
Thank you, Lori. Cultural intelligence is having knowledge, skills, and ability to connect with individuals the way that they want to be connected. So for a long time, the golden rule is treat everyone the way that you want to be treated. However, depending on generational differences, right, your age, your background, whether you were born and raised in the same place, or you've moved around, or you are multilingual, etc., these things actually have an impact in your personality and the way that you see the world. And the more that you know about those things, the more that you can connect with that person and get better results from that person. So an example that I can give you, me as a Latina, as a millennial, as a female, have a set of ideas in ways in which I want to be connected to, the way that I want to be approached, the way that I want to be socialized in a circle of people. And so if you know that about me, if you know what it is to live in multiple worlds, to think in Spanish before I translate it into English, and to do that right fast enough in my brain. If you know that I live in multiple worlds, that I live in the Dominican Republic and also live in the U.S., that have those connections, and that my work not only affects my family, my immediate family, right, my husband, but it extends to my parents, it extends to my brothers and his children, then you really have a whole picture of how to coach me, how to motivate me, and how to be a better friend and a better leader to me. And so once you have that cultural intelligence, and you have that cultural intelligence about Angie as a millennial, as a Latina, it is most likely going to be similar, not the same, but it will give you some ideas to think about other female Latina immigrants around my age range. If you know what it is to be Lori and live in Minneapolis and be in the radio, et cetera, you will have and be able to adapt your conversations in the ways to engage Lori more effectively. And so we really believe that cultural intelligence is here to stay. It is the way to really engage individuals from different backgrounds to get better results. And if you do that, you will be more effective in your communication styles. And we have competencies as well that go along with that definition, Lori. So cultural intelligence has 5 competencies: it's self-awareness, cross-cultural communication, conflict resolution, empathetic engagement, and authentic coaching. And some of the ones resonate really well with how things are going right now. That empathetic engagement component is crucial for the empathy that you need to have for people different than you that may be experiencing this crisis in unique ways. And obviously the cross-cultural communication, how do you communicate, keeping your culture, keeping your values, but also be able to create space for other cultures and other values to coexist with you. And self-awareness, not only how you see yourself, but how do you coming across when you are interacting with all the cultures.
How would you tell the difference between emotional intelligence and cultural intelligence? Or do you see that they work hand in hand?
I believe that they do. Cultural, right, it connects us to our emotions. It connects us to our backgrounds. These are things that we were taught from our parents and from people that we respect and hold dear to our hearts. So I don't know that they are completely, separated from each other, but we do have to recognize that there are many different cultures, right? Even sports has cultures. There is the LGBTQ cultures. There is individuals with disability cultures. There's people that went to the military that has a culture, military cultures. There's mothers, right? When you connect with another mother, another person that has had those experiences, you are also part of that culture. Where you look at your emotions, you tend to connect, right, with the things that are more familiar to you, and so you may have more affinity to particular cultures, and your emotions come and play there. That makes did that
oh, absolutely
support that answer to that question, Lori?
Absolutely. I bring it up only that our audience may be more familiar with the term emotional intelligence, and cultural intelligence is, and we call it CQ, just like an IQ, is a way of understanding all the things around us that have influenced, just as you said, your family, the media, the time that you grew up, your culture, and being able to be open to learning about each other's culture allows us to be in a lifelong learning mode. We're never done. It becomes an opportunity for us to continue to be curious about each other and be able to share the things that are very important by being able to frame it in our culture. So I appreciate you giving us a little bit of your insight, your Latina perspective on cultural intelligence. There's a lot going on right now, as we were initially talking about, and how Minnesota is now in its station in place, and you're in a similar situation down in the Dominican Republic. There are concerns coming up that I would love to have you share with us about the La Familia during the pandemic and language barriers, how that's impacting. We have just about a minute. Why don't you just give us a short introduction to the Latino immigration concerns going on right now, and then we'll go more fully into that topic in our next segment.
Thank you, Lori. Well, I certainly cannot speak with all Latinos in the U.S. or in Latin America. I would tell you that there are real concerns in our communities, and there was a recent research that showed that Latinos are showing even an increased fear, more fear of this pandemic than particularly other cultures. And I looked into that, and really what I could come up with was that part of this reason is obviously the job loss. Although we are all experiencing, we all know people or personally had lost our jobs or parts of our jobs. The service industry has been severely impacted, people that had to interact with people directly. And so the job loss has been tremendous. 4 out of 10 people, losing their jobs in this community. That comes also with food insecurity, the lack of health care in our community is a very scary component of this pandemic. So many individuals uninsured and already feeling like that the hospital space was not, it's not often a welcoming space because they're uninsured, because they have language barriers, and also because there was political components about people being detained around the hospital. So all of that really adds to the challenge of feeling like if I get this virus, if I get this disease, what am I going to do? How am I going to get help? There's also the technical challenges. I was reading a story about all of the students that have returned home and are now expected to do all of their schooling via Zoom, and so many families that do not have Wi-Fi. For many undergrad, particularly college students that were living in dorms, it was really their safe haven, having access to a space to study, having an access to, no interruption of internet connection, etc. And now going back to houses that oftentimes have multiple generations of people at home and may not have computer or Wi-Fi access. So that has really made just a bigger concern for some of these families. The language barrier is something that is absolutely an issue because and an issue that has been talked about across Latino media, that the information, the important key informations, were just not translated in Spanish fast enough. So that there were information that a lot of our English speaking counterparts knew and had more time to prepare than those individuals that English was not their first language. And even if you know Spanish, there are some information and terminology that is new to everybody given this pandemic. So not only do you have to know the language, but then you have to also translate within the language. What are these new terms? What are these new norms that are coming forward, and you have different groups within the community. You have the citizens that have been there for forever.
And Angie, my dear, I'm going to just put you on pause so that we can have a few commercials.
Absolutely.
So you're on a great roll. But what I want to do is save a little bit for our next segment, and we can pick up with having you share about those new norms and how to translate some of those new concepts, because I think that's really important for everyone to understand, especially in interacting with the Latino community, how to be more sensitive and culturally intelligent. So we'll be right back just after a few short announcements. We'll be looking forward to having you join us.
Freedom Library, and I'd like to tell you about an historic place on Payne Avenue. Brunson's Pub is a place where history and passion are a part of every detail, starting with the menu. The Payne-Phelan neighborhood arose from Dakota people who lived here for hundreds of years, and pioneering immigrant communities, Irish, Swedes, German, and Italians, who made the East Side their home. More recently, waves of new residents from Asia, Latin America, and Africa continue the rich immigrant history and are revitalizing the community's cultural life and economy. Come experience Brunson's Pub at 956 Payne Avenue and grab a discounted gift card when you mention that you're an AM 950 listener or a supporter of the Eastside Freedom Library. Be sure to check out brunsonspub.com.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a news show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
Is your business being pulled under by a tide of constant threats? Hackers, ransomware, security breaches? What if you had people who could navigate you to safe water, then teach you how to swim? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld of Rymark with a unique offer, a free security assessment. We'll uncover hidden threats, hidden costs, and hidden opportunities to help navigate your business. Call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com to schedule your free security assessment.
Moe's Tax Service on Ford Parkway in St. Paul has been preparing tax returns since 1971. They're one of the most successful independently owned tax services in the country with a diverse team of highly trained and screened tax preparation experts. Tax laws and forms are always changing, and you need someone who is a dedicated tax preparation professional. Visit www.mohstax.com. That's MOHS tax.com. Or give them a call, 612-721-2026. Moe's Tax Service. They work for you, not the IRS.
Hey, it's Brett from FYI Politics for Zero Res. They know nothing is more important than your health during these stressful times. For years, Zero Res has committed to providing safe cleaning solutions for you. It's why their cleaning process has achieved the highest ratings in independent laboratory tests. They understand cleaning is part of preventing and will always follow CDC guidelines. Right now, you can get 3-room Zero Res clean starting at only $129, plus an additional 10% off when you clean both your carpets and your air ducts. But you have to mention AM 950 when you call 952 Zero Res or ZeroResMinnesota.com.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm so glad you made the connection and are with us today. We are maybe physically distant, but I refuse to accept that we are socially distant because we're connected, and you're part of Connection Show today. And I also have a wonderful dear friend that is joining us from the Dominican Republic, Angie Espinal, and she is the program specialist for the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance. Angie and I work together with MFHA, and she does such a beautiful job in helping us understand the Latino community. And as she said in our last segment, she doesn't speak for all Latinos, but she can help us with our cultural intelligence. She can help us understand the culture and create a better connection when we are working together, when we are friends, when we are family. And it's all about making that connection, isn't it? So, Angie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you. So happy to be here.
In our last segment, you started to talk to us about the Latino immigrants' concerns. And we were just starting to talk about some of the challenges amongst immigrants and undocumented in hospitals and language barriers. Let's pick up there and maybe catch up our audience that may have just joined about some of the concerns that, you know, it's just not in our awareness. But when it's brought to our awareness, we gain insight, we gain cultural intelligence. So I'd like to just have you walk us through some concerns just to help us understand and be more sensitive.
Absolutely, Lori. So there are citizens that have been part of the American fabric forever. There are immigrants that have relocated to the United States. There are individuals that are undocumented also from these communities, and each group have different challenges, but they all care about each other, and we've seen that throughout this pandemic and in this recent unprecedented times. These communities have continued to communicate with each other, continue to care for in what ways they can help one another. One of the things that it becomes a concern, as I mentioned earlier, about the job loss and food insecurity, and definitely lack of health care and being insured, is being able to also send money back to your home country. A lot of individuals that are actively working in the U.S. and those, and particularly service jobs or other jobs that have now been laid off or put on hold across our country, will also severely affect individuals that are back in the Dominican Republic, back in Mexico, back in Chile, whatever those individuals are from, and that is a real scare for people that for the first time in a long time, if not ever, for some of these families, they will not be able to support those individuals because they themselves, need to secure whatever they have. There's also stories of people that have passed away, not only for the virus, but definitely those that have passed away from the virus, definitely, hit home a lot harder because now, those families are not able to travel and really truly, be there for their loved ones, be there for their sick, elderly people, whether they are living in New York City and then, your mother is in New York City and you want to travel from the Latin American country to New York to really be there and support your elderly person. There's travel restrictions. Now you can't go there. And there's certainly, if you unfortunately have to bury a loved one, then, that's, you cannot do that. There's.
Angie, hopefully there's something that we can reconnect you on Skype, and hopefully, Angie, we're going to have to back you up a little bit. We lost you for just a moment there. So you were talking about how difficult it is, especially even if you were able to have a funeral, it would only be with a few people. You can't have, the whole family.
Well, it depends. And it depends the reason of the funeral. We've learning from other countries that when someone has the virus, they're not allowed to be in contact with that individual. So it may be a while until you can bury that person, or if there's sometimes in Europe where those individuals have been sent right to the bodies have been put away for safety reasons. And so there's a lot of things that we still have not really hit and experienced ourselves in the United States to really be able to speak eloquently about it. But I would tell you that as important as the family is, the elderly are, and for the Latino family, now being able to be there for each other, it puts a huge emotional burden throughout, across these families.
Angie, thanks for giving us some insights in this segment. We're going to need to go to commercial, but we will come back. And in our next segment, let's talk about the Latino restaurant owners. We work with the restaurant industry, and I know especially small family restaurants are really getting hit hard. So let's talk about that when you get back, and stay with us here on Connections Radio Show as we talk to Angie Espinal on the Latino perspective from MFHA. And for more information on MFHA, you can go to mfha.net. We'll be right back. Clockwork is an experience design and technology agency, which means they help transform businesses around the globe by connecting people, processes, and technology. They bridge the gap between marketing and technology to put people at the heart of digital solutions, transforming how your customers interact with your brand. Clockwork's technology consulting, experience design, and software development expertise makes them a full-service digital partner to help you design your customer experience, build an app, or connect all of your digital properties into one seamless system. If you're in need of major tech updates but aren't sure where to start, they'll help you figure that out too. To learn more about how they've helped other businesses make digital transformation less painful, visit clockwork.com/radio. Clockwork. Digital done right.
Hi, Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz here. I know the past few weeks have been incredibly difficult and disruptive. We're facing an unprecedented challenge in the COVID-19 virus. I want you to know that the state of Minnesota is putting every resource into this fight. We're being thoughtful and collaborative both inside and outside of government to keep Minnesotans safe. What I need from each of you is continue to do what you've been doing so well. Stay home when you can, especially when you're sick. Follow those rules. Wash your hands. Cover your cough. Don't touch your face. They're not just things to repeat. They actually save lives. If you need more information, please go to the Minnesota Department of Health website and use the hashtag StayHomeMN. Minnesotans, we've been through challenging times before. This will press us, but we will get through it. We'll do it by the basic decency about caring for our neighbors and following the rules that keep us all safe. We'll get through this together, Minnesota, and come out stronger on the other side. Thanks for your cooperation.
Hello, humans. This is me, Ellie Krug, with Ellie 2.0 Radio on Monday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. We're trying for as much normalcy as possible, so this week's show has me sharing about Catherine Hamlin, who created a hospital in Ethiopia to treat women with childbirth injuries. I'll share about a cop who reached out to a homeless woman, and in my C block, I'll talk about paying it forward. Ellie 2.0 Radio, engaging and real on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
I'm Nick Slavic, proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I've been a craftsman for more than 25 years. My company has been awarded more than 5 national awards for craftsmanship. You won't find somebody who loves their job more than me. I've devoted my life to my family, my craft, my business, and to the people who trust me with their projects. And I'm happier for doing it. Visit NICKSLAVIK.com to learn more.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Sam Turnberg. Today there's a chance of storms with a high near 47. Tonight we got rain with a low around 33. Tomorrow rain and snow with a high near 49. Monday mostly sunny with a high near 55. And Tuesday partly sunny with a high near 55. With the state closing bars and restaurants for dining in, it's especially important that you support our Eat Local Minnesota restaurants. They are all locally owned, so the money you spend stays local and helps them keep their doors open. More information at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. We talk about ideas that matter. And today we are gaining cultural intelligence. We have Angie Espinal from the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance sharing her Latina perspective. So welcome, Angie. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you, Lori.
You know, we just heard a great ad about Eat Local and how we're trying to support our local restaurants in having people buy various gift certificates and going to takeout because we don't want to lose the wonderful small restaurants that are here in Minnesota. And we have Latino restaurants that we love dearly. But they're having particular challenges, and I'd love to have you share with us about some of the challenges that the Latino restaurant owners are facing right now.
Absolutely, Lori. They are no different than the other restaurateurs across the country that have had to close their doors to dining, to sit down on dining, and have limitations as to how many people can go in and get certain food items. What was interesting about at least the independent restaurant owners and the Latino community is that they needed to quickly adapt to those delivery platforms that were often uncommon previous to the pandemic. So just signing up for the Grubhubs and the DoorDash and the Uber Eats of our circles for some of the larger chains and more different larger restaurants. This was, a easy move. But for some of these smaller groups, it was really a challenge to now understand, do we need to come up with the drivers? What is the percentage that we need to pay, et cetera, et cetera. But the biggest hit is really the fact that many of these families really put all of their investment, all of their dreams into these family businesses with the intent to leave something, to have something to pass on to their younger generation, and are now really looking at complete loss. And that for sure has been stories that have been really, close to home, very heartfelt, because, many of those small businesses have about 2 weeks of savings. And so that went really fast. And when I researched some of the aid that was around, it was based on more loans and really unclear outlets as to what they could access. So really, absolutely reaching out and ways to invest in those restaurants is important, but there's also a gap on just the business understanding of, when to close down. What are the percentage of your business that is delivery, which is about 5 to 15%, is not really sustainable. With that alone, you're not going to be able to, to keep the, all, the aspects of the business up and running. So a piece that I think is important that the community can also offer is just business advice to many of these smaller businesses that are struggling with making tough decisions.
And as we look to advise, we look to support, it's tough when we're sheltered in place. But because we are connected by, various community groups that we can offer perhaps some business advice, many of our Minneapolis and St. Paul communities have neighborhood associations. And if you have a business expertise that you think might be helpful, or if you've owned a restaurant in the past yourself and you want to reach out, I'm encouraging you to consider reaching out to neighborhood associations. We have the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association, and they do wonderful work. They've got a Shark Tank where they have business advisors help business people with their new ideas. If you think you have something that you'd like to offer, research a neighborhood that you think you'd like to support. And I would encourage you to find out their neighborhood association and let them know you're available and you can support them. You have, in the past, shared with us teachable moments, something to think about in your Latina perspective. I'd love to have you share some of those teachable moments you think that we can embrace right now during our new reinvention of who we are and how we work.
Absolutely. On the upside, I guess, of these concerns, I'm seeing Latino families coming together, dining together, having all of the members of the family under the same roof, which because so many people, right, are working full time in various hours of the day, is no longer possible, as many American families, to really be together all at once and really dine together all at once. So that is something that I've seen that has come forward out of this pandemic that is really comforting to that particular community, and because we have had to adapt to constant change, right, moving to another country, learning another language, adapting to different systems. Many of us have come from places that, not having enough is part of our experience, is what we do. Not having toilet paper just to be funny in a sense. Is not something that is going to really freak out the common Latino family, because we've definitely experienced what was to not have that and what were the alternatives for if that ever took place. So I think really having these stories and connections with the Latino community, you will find that we're very resourceful. If you have a problem or something that you thought that you couldn't live without and now you no longer have, most likely a Latino family has already figured out what's the alternative to that thing that is, that was such a basic necessity at one point. And many of these families, many of individuals just want to belong, Lori. We've been really, getting more education, graduating at a more rapidly percentage, and working our way up, and really getting mentors for the desire to belong in a place that oftentimes, and not everywhere, because definitely certain states and certain communities, have a different sentiment on the issue of belonging. But definitely Latinos want to belong. This is an opportunity to connect, an opportunity to show that you care, an opportunity to really be able to see beyond my skin color, beyond my accent, beyond, my curly hair, beyond, and I'm speaking for myself because I have a big afro, and beyond these things that supposedly makes us different, and really connect to the source that we are, right, these human beings that want to stay well, and want to be a part of getting our communities back to where they will be in the future, and really want to be, your neighbor.
When you speak, I think of La Familia being so important, and how it can extend into how do we create La Familia at our work. It becomes how do we connect, how do we have that same sense of a deeper connection that we can learn from the Latino culture. We can learn about how those bonds are created and how deep the connection can be built.
Absolutely. We fight with the community. We fight with our family members, right, Lori?
Absolutely.
We argue. We sometimes we need to, right, not look at each other for a couple of hours. But the loyalty of knowing that you are my brother, that you are my sister, that you are my parent, that you are my best friend, and that regardless of what's happening, we will find a way to connect again and tie those bonds and hug it out. Is really important in the ways that we we can create those engagement opportunities and just forgive, right? Forgive. I've seen a lot of people online say, you know, call that person that you haven't talked to in a long time. You know, they're probably home. They never had time before, but now they do. Forgive yourself and forgive others, to use really this time alone wisely, and be able to have conversations with your loved ones that are either at home or a phone call away, to really come out of this quarantine, you know, emotionally stronger.
I'd love to have you also share more ways that we can consider helping each other.
I think equalizing really the playing field by showing concern for everyone's safety it cannot be shared enough, Lori. Really using words that are inclusive, not saying just my neighbor, just my family, just, you know, the people that I like and I feel comfortable with, just the people that look exactly like me. No, use words that really showcase that your heart is open to just everybody. Use the word Latinos, use the word Latina, use the word African American or Black or short or high, or just people of all ages, generations, and cultures. I am here for you. I am thinking of you. I am sending you, supportive words is really crucial. And I've seen that also done in those smaller, right, Latino communities. That is no longer about selling just your product. Telling other people, hey, this is what we have available. Is really, hey, we are here for you. You need to exacerbate those words and not just sell, because really selling right now is putting people off. It's really about making connections. It's about making yourself more available. It's about utilizing words that express your willingness to see beyond the things that perhaps you didn't do before. And in the simplicity of translating some key resources, or even if you know that your neighbor may not know something that is important for the neighborhood because of the language barriers, figure out a way to send them a text, even if it's in English, and say, hey, translate this into Spanish. Use Google to translate this, because this can be really helpful. And the Wi-Fi access, Lori, is something that incredibly a lot of families, a lot of these students that are returning back home and are learning that there's no really a qualified or high-speed internet at home for them to be able to connect to Zoom. It's really important that if you have Wi-Fi access and you know what other people around your area that are close to you that need it, that you can share, because some of those students really rely on some of these resources in order to be able to graduate and to be able to not miss the schooling or their work, and that can make a really big difference.
Thank you, Angie. We're going to take our last break, but I want to encourage our audience to especially stay on, because in our next one, Angie's going to give us some ideas about how to stay healthy. She also not only does wonderful work for MFHA, she also does yoga and meditation and has some really wonderful insights for us to be thinking about as we go inward in our journey. We can take this opportunity to grow. So stay with us. We'll be right back after just a few short commercials.
I'm Peter Ratcliffe from the Eastside Freedom Library, and I'd like to tell you about an historic place on Payne Avenue, Brunson's Pub. Experience history and passion through the delicious menu, reflecting the Eastside's diversity. The choices are limitless: salads, sandwiches, burgers, and shareable plates. Visit Brunson's Pub at 956 Payne Avenue and grab a discounted gift card when you mention that you're an AM 950 listener or a supporter of the Eastside Freedom Library. Be sure to check out brunsonspub.com.
Hey, it's Brett from FYI Politics, and I want to thank you for listening to AM 950. The advertisers you hear are what allows us to stay on the airwaves, and unfortunately, some of them are going to be going through some tough times with the coronavirus. So support our advertisers in any way you can, whether that's ordering takeout food from one of our Eat Local Minnesota restaurants, purchasing gift cards, or just contacting them and telling them thanks for supporting AM 950. Even the littlest thing you can do can go a long way. Find a full list of our advertisers at am950radio.com. And thanks for listening.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station has worked with Barbara from WYSIWYG Web Design for years on everything from logo to print design, and especially for developing our website. She does great work and is great to work with, listening to what our goals and design ideas were while offering new, innovative ideas to create the website we are proud of today. Barbara made sure she understood our station, our goals, and our mission before she started working on our site and made suggestions to help control the cost. Plus, she's friendly, which set us at ease. I recommend Barbara at WYSIWYG Web Design because I know she will deliver an attractive, professional website within the budget you have. She is a local independent business that specializes in helping other local businesses achieve their website and design goals. She can work with nearly any budget and create anything from simple sites to robust custom functionality. To find out more about the company AM 950 trusts, go to WYSIWYGWebDesign.com. Spelled out just like it sounds, WYSIWYGWebDesign.com.
Clockwork is an experienced design and technology agency, which means they help transform businesses around the globe by connecting people, processes, and technology. They bridge the gap between marketing and technology to put people at the heart of digital solutions, transforming how your customers interact with your brand. Clockwork's technology consulting, experience design, and software development expertise makes them a full-service digital partner to help you design your customer experience, build an app, or connect all of your digital properties into one seamless system. If you're in need of major tech updates but aren't sure where to start, they'll help you figure that out too. To learn more about how they've helped other businesses make digital transformation less painful, visit clockwork.com/radio. Clockwork. Digital done right. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. And I have Angie Espinal. She is a program specialist from the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance, and she is giving the Latina perspective. Welcome, Angie. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your...
Hey, Lori.
Oh, it's great. It's great to have you. And I want to make sure our audience knows if you're interested more to learn more about MFHA, the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance, you can go to mfha.net, and there's all sorts of good resources there for you to consider. It is geared to the restaurant and hospitality industry, but anyone can check us out and see the work that we're doing, and we'd love to have you, stay connected with us that way as well. So, Angie, you are also doing some wonderful work with yoga and meditation, and you've really committed to creating a healthy lifestyle for yourself and those you connect with.
That's correct, Lori. Yoga and meditation has truly had an impact in my life. And I cannot think of another better way for where this practice, for a practice can be helpful in this really stressful times. And so I think in my community, I would tell you they look at yoga and look at meditation and that spirituality as a competition to our own personal religion or our personal beliefs. And I really challenge individuals to not look at it that way, to look at it as a separate tool that simply helps you to breathe, helps you to calm the mind, helps you to relax the body, and helps you to really check yourself from within, from the inside out, so that you can really listen to your body and be able to gauge your own needs. That's what yoga and meditation have done to me.
You've also encouraged folks, especially during this time, to forgive yourself. You can get wound up with all kinds of stress and feel like we have to do something, and then the anxiety can go into high gear. what are ways that you think are important when we're doing our self-examination and we're needing to take a time out and figure out our meaning and purpose as we're all in our closed rooms? I had someone tell me that the earth told us all to go to our room and think about what we've done.
If I really do that, Lori, that may cause me more anxiety, right? Because it's like to sit there and think is actually really understanding our breath, and really allowing the breath to calm us down is really important. Just like you can you can fall and hurt your knee, and it may require for you to have that knee up for some time. Our mind, our brain can actually also get hurt and require you to really take the precautions to slow it down, to calm it, to put it in positions and ways for it to relax. And the breath allows you to do that. And so if I may, Loria, just really quickly, things to consider about your breath. There are qualities to your breath that you can connect with. If you're sitting down, make sure that your back is long because it allows that breath to flow. You really want that breath to come from your diaphragm rather than your chest, right? Your chest is limited by your rib cage. You can only take as much breath. But if your breath comes from your abdomen, which is not restricted by any bones anywhere in the front and the side or in the back, and really focus on having a smooth breath. At the end of every exhalation, it starts an inhalation, an inhale without pause, without resistance. Your breath is smooth, is calm, is deep. Count how many seconds is your inhale, and try to make it, even with your exhale. We tend to inhale really deeply and let all the air out immediately after we exhale. So try to get them to be the same length. Your breath is also silent, is without sound. If you're hearing a really heavy breath, connect to the silencing of your breath, to the calm of your breath, and it's in that process in which you can then take the time to look at your thoughts, to really calm yourself. Whether you're sitting, you can do this sitting, you can do this laying down, and really connecting to letting go with the idea that every exhalation removes toxicity, removes tension, removes tiredness, and that every inhale is a new opportunity, is fresh breath, is well-being that's coming into you. And allow yourself, more of it is the mind, allow yourself to be present, to be calm, and to know that power of getting there is already within you.
And the most important right now for us to keep remembering is we're just not going to give up. We're going to know that we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this with each other. We're going to reach out and create those connections. And Angie, thank you for sharing the Latina perspective with us today. And I'm looking forward to having you join us again to keep us updated, to keep us more knowledgeable and regain our cultural intelligence. So thank you, Angie, for being here today.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Stay healthy. Love yourself and love your neighbors and your family.